This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okwade, and this is Africa Now. We begin today on the unending crisis in Ethiopia's Tigray region. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, on Thursday, addressing the United Nations Security Council in a virtual event, asked if Africans no longer matter. This she asked over the ongoing crisis in Ethiopia's Tigray region that began in November between the government troops and the region's former ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front. She urged the Security Council to meet publicly and address Ethiopia's conflict-torn Tigray region, as has been done with other emergent crises. Now, still on Tigray's crisis, an analysis by the United Nations agencies and aid groups say over 350,000 people in Ethiopia's Tigray are suffering from famine conditions, with millions more at risk of what is described to be the worst catastrophic food crisis in a decade. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification (IPC) analysis has not been endorsed by the Ethiopian government. The IPC analysis found that the severe crisis results population displacement, movement restrictions, limited humanitarian access, loss of harvest and livelihood assets, and dysfunctional or non-existent markets are the cause for this famine. Okay, so we'll be joined by Mr. Adedapo Banjo, who is a political analyst and a social commentator from Abuja, Nigeria. Good afternoon, sir. It's good to have you on the program today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So right now we've been talking on the Tigray crisis that has been going on, and the United Nations has said over 350 million people, or rather 350,000 people are going to be facing famine right now in the country because of the ongoing crisis going on. So what do you really think about this? And as the UN ambassador, the US ambassador to UN said, that Africans' lives do not really matter at this point. So what do you think about the ongoing crisis going on in the region?
I believe very strongly that the crisis in Ethiopia, and particularly the Tigray region, is unfortunate. I am very much aware that African countries go through a lot, especially since the advent of the pandemic. The pandemic has affected the lives of almost everyone in the world, and particularly Africans. They have little or no access to social amenities and support from government. Like I said, the Tigray region crisis is very unfortunate. Black people live there. People die every day. With children, that includes women, especially the ones that are young. They cannot even get a decent meal to promote or grow a baby in their womb. But unfortunately, we see a leading problem in Africa who cannot and not saying anything about what is going on. How do I put it? I put it straight to you that it is so important at this point that Nigeria and the rest of the nations in Africa go away from being the functional society and go to a society and sustain itself in every area of our common life.
Okay, thank you very much. Now to politics. Prime Minister Firmin Ingabire of the Central African Republic on Thursday announced his resignation and the dissolving of his entire cabinet. Ingabire hinted in a Facebook post that the move was related to Faustin Taldera's re-election for a second term in March. Elected in February 2019, the Prime Minister says he handed his resignation to the President in a Twitter post. Now to security matters in the Sahel region. French President Emmanuel Macron on Thursday announced Burkina Faso would no longer exist in its current form, bringing a profound transformation of the presence of the French military in the Sahel region. The modalities and timetable of the transformations will be specified in the coming weeks, Macron added. France currently has 5,100 troops in the Sahel region intervening against jihadist groups alongside local forces. Still on security matters, Côte d'Ivoire inaugurated the International Academy for Combating Terrorism on Thursday. The aim of the establishment, according to Tene Behaima, the Ivorian Prime Minister, is to train cadets and special forces from the African continent in a move to reinforce the resistance efforts against jihadist extremists in the region. Fighting in the vast semi-arid region began in 2019 when Islamist militants joined the local insurgency in northern Mali, capturing swaths of territory. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching Africa Now. We move to business after the break, so stay tuned. Welcome back. In business, according to President Cyril Ramaphosa in a televised briefing on Thursday, there is going to be a reform that is expected to unlock significant investment in new generation capacity in the short and medium term in South Africa. This will enable companies to build their own generation facilities to supply their energy needs.
We will be amending Schedule 2 of the Electricity Regulation Act to increase the NERSA licensing threshold for embedded generation projects from 1 megawatt to 100 megawatts.
According to a budget adopted by the government on Thursday, Gabon is targeting a return to economic growth of 1.5% in 2021 after a 1.8% contraction in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic and a fall in oil prices. The COVID-19 crisis brought about a fresh collapse in crude prices, increasing unemployment rates and widening the deficit in the Central African oil-producing nation that has been recovering from a 2014 slump in oil prices. The International Monetary Fund forecast a 1.2% growth in 2021. Now, to help tackle the social and economic challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, Tanzania has asked the International Monetary Fund for a low-interest loan of $571 million, the Minister of Finance disclosed. IMF officials in Dar es Salaam and Washington said the Tanzanian government will be required to provide published data on coronavirus infections in the country. Tanzania's economy was projected to grow by 5.6% in 2021, up from last year's growth of 4.8% and 6.2% in 2023. Now back to you, Mr. Dakpo. We've been looking at all the borrowings that have been going on in different African countries. Just day before yesterday, we were told that Senegal, now Angola, and right now Tanzania too are to borrow from the IMF to help aid the effects and the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. So what do you have to say about this? Do you think that it's actually going to help the economies of this country?
Now, it's a borrowing a yes or no for me. I believe that countries that borrow money, first of all, must focus on building infrastructure and support for the people of that country to be able to live well, do business well, and run every other area of their life based on the provision of technology infrastructure in that country. However, the problem in Africa is that after so much borrowing has been done, you have a situation where the money are not being appropriated. And the appropriation is what eventually gives and creates and tunnel or a very long-term problem for these patients, because whether you like it or not, you still have to pay back. So if you ask me, I believe that some African countries are doing well, borrowing, but you cannot liken them to countries like Nigeria, where money are being borrowed to pay salaries. So whatever IMF is doing right now to supporting a lot of countries who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, is that we look forward to those countries making judicious use of those money borrowed to better the life of the people in that country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dakpo, for being on the program today. We appreciate you. Now away from business. Ethiopia's electoral board say elections in 2 regional states will be postponed over irregularities and problems with the printing of ballot papers. According to the chairwoman of the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia on Thursday, the Hara and Somali regions would cast their vote in September. 37.4 million registered voters of 109 million population will hold national and regional parliamentary elections in 2 weeks. Now, Kenya on Thursday says it will allow flights to and from Somalia in its airspace weeks after it was suspended in May. This decision, Kenya's foreign ministry says, comes after due consideration of intercessions were taken. The new development, the ministry hopes, will lead to full normalization of relations, including diplomatic trade and people-to-people linkages that have undergone undue strain. And that is it on Africa Now. For more updates, to visit our website at www.TOS TVNetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Ukmade. Thanks for watching.